Have you ever paused to consider how political instability, either locally or globally, might affect the security of your family? It's a question that may not cross our minds every day, but it's a topic of utmost importance. Political instability is a state of discord or uncertainty within a government or nation. This instability can lead to a ripple effect, with waves of impact that can reach even the most seemingly distant and unaffected families. Think about it like a stone thrown into a pond. The stone represents political unrest, and the ripples it creates are the ensuing effects. These ripples can disrupt the calm waters of our lives, impacting our family's safety, financial security, and overall well-being. As we delve into this topic, we will take a case study approach to better understand the real-life impact of political instability on family security. So let's journey together through the intricate web of politics and its far-reaching effects. To fully grasp the potential impact on families, we first need to understand what political instability entails. Political instability isn't just a matter of changing governments or shifting political parties. It's a far-reaching term that encompasses several factors, all of which can create an unpredictable and potentially dangerous environment. So let's dive a bit deeper. At its core, political instability refers to the propensity for regime or government change, political upheaval or violence in society, and it often stems from or is exacerbated by other forms of instability. One of these forms is corruption. Corruption, in its many guises, can undermine trust in the government and its institutions, leading to public discontent and sometimes, public demonstrations. When the trust in those who govern is eroded, it becomes increasingly difficult for these institutions to maintain order, leading to a spiral of instability. Then, there's civil unrest. This can be anything from peaceful protests to violent clashes and riots. Civil unrest often emerges when a significant portion of the population feels unheard or oppressed. These situations can escalate quickly, leading to widespread disturbances and a breakdown in the usual social order. Economic instability, another critical factor, is often intertwined with political instability. A country with a struggling economy, high unemployment rates, and increasing poverty levels can become a fertile ground for political upheaval. Economic hardships can lead to dissatisfaction with the government, further fueling unrest and instability. There's also the factor of external influence. Foreign intervention, whether direct or indirect, can significantly contribute to political instability. This can take the form of economic sanctions, military intervention, or even the spread of propaganda. Political instability can be a complex and multifaceted issue, shaped by a combination of internal and external factors. It's an unpredictable beast, often striking without warning and leaving lasting effects on the social and economic fabric of a nation. Now that we have a grasp on what political instability is, let's explore how it can directly and indirectly impact family security. A case study can provide a clear representation of how political instability can affect family security. Let's imagine a family, a mother, a father, and their two children, let's call them the Johnsons, living in an imaginary country. This country is not at war, but it is experiencing significant political unrest with protests, strikes, and general uncertainty. The first impact on the Johnsons is economic. The father, Mr. Johnson, works in a factory. Political instability often leads to economic uncertainty, which in turn can lead to job losses. With the ongoing unrest, the factory where Mr. Johnson works is forced to cut down its production and lay off some of its workers. Mr. Johnson is one of them. Now the family's main source of income is gone. They struggle to make ends meet, let alone save for the future. The economic stability of the Johnson family is now compromised. Next, access to resources becomes a challenge. The political instability has led to disruptions in supply chains. The local grocery store often runs out of basic necessities. The mother, Mrs. Johnson, finds it increasingly difficult to provide nutritious meals for her children. Moreover, the local hospital is overwhelmed with casualties from the protests, making it harder for the family to access healthcare services. The Johnsons' basic needs are not being met, and their quality of life is deteriorating. Then there is the issue of physical safety. Protests often take place in the town square, which is close to the Johnsons' home. There are frequent clashes between the protesters and the police. The Johnsons live in constant fear of violence spilling over into their neighborhood. At night, they often hear gunshots and sirens. Their home, which should be a safe haven, feels like anything but. Lastly, the mental health of the family members is significantly affected. The children, previously carefree and happy, are now anxious and scared. They don't understand why their father is always worried, why their mother is always sad, why they can't play outside anymore. Mrs. Johnson is stressed about providing for the family and keeping the children safe. Mr. Johnson feels helpless and depressed, unable to fulfill his role as a provider. The mental toll of living in a state of constant uncertainty is heavy. All these factors combined significantly compromise the security and well-being of the Johnsons. They live in a state of constant worry and fear, their lives dictated by the political instability consuming their country. Now, it's important to remember that while the Johnsons are imaginary, their situation is not. There are countless families across the globe experiencing similar circumstances due to political unrest in their countries. Each family's story might be different, but the themes of economic instability, lack of access to resources, physical danger, and mental health issues are all too common. Political instability does not just affect the people directly involved in the protests or the politicians in power. It trickles down to the everyday lives of ordinary people. It disrupts their routines, threatens their safety, and compromises their happiness. It affects how parents raise their children, how they plan their futures, how they live their lives. The effects of political instability, as demonstrated in our case study, can be far-reaching, deeply impacting the security and well-being of families. While our case study focused on one family, it is important to understand that the effects of political instability are not confined to a single region. When we zoom out from the microcosm of one family or one community, the ripples of political instability become waves that can overwhelm entire nations, regions, and the global community. Consider international relations. Political instability in one nation can lead to strained relations with its neighbors and allies, leading to diplomatic tensions and even conflict. These tensions can escalate, causing a domino effect that reaches far beyond the initial area of instability. But it's not just about politics. The economic repercussions of political instability can reverberate across the globe. A nation in turmoil can disrupt global trade, affect international markets, and cause economic downturns. When economies falter, it's often the everyday people who bear the brunt. Jobs can be lost, cost of living can skyrocket, and financial security can crumble, affecting families worldwide. Moreover, political instability can contribute to global issues such as migration and refugee crises. Families may be forced to flee their homes, seeking safety and stability elsewhere. This displacement can lead to overcrowded refugee camps, strained resources in host countries, and increased tensions that can ripple outwards, affecting even the most stable regions. And let's not forget the social implications. Political instability can lead to a rise in inequality, discrimination, and social unrest. These issues are not confined by borders. They spread through social media, news outlets, and interpersonal relationships, influencing perceptions and attitudes worldwide. Lastly, political instability can impact global efforts to address pressing issues like climate change, health crises, and poverty. Without stability and cooperation, these efforts can be hindered, affecting the quality of life for families across the globe. It becomes clear then that political instability anywhere should be a concern to families everywhere. Because when the political ground shakes in one part of the world, the tremors can be felt in our own backyards. The world is interconnected, and so are we. And that's why understanding and addressing political instability is crucial, not just for our own family's security, but for the well-being of families around the world. In our brief exploration today, we have seen how political instability can have profound effects on family security. We've delved into the complex definition of political instability, revealing it as a state that disrupts the normal functioning of a society and creates uncertainty. We've unpacked the multitude of causes, from economic disparities to political corruption, and how these factors incite turmoil and unrest. Taking a closer look, we examined a case study illustrating the direct impact of political instability on family security. We've seen how these situations can lead to loss of income, disruption of daily life, and even displacement. And let's not forget the global impact. Political instability doesn't respect borders. It affects the international community, influencing economics, human rights, and global peace. It is our hope that with this understanding, more people will engage in discussions and actions that promote political stability for the sake of families both near and far.